Actually, I'm an economist, and I, by coincidence, I came into the timber business. My family runs a 146 years old company, and since then we are just thinking about what to do with this beautiful material. And I'm the fifth generation running the company now. And yeah, the Blumer Lehman is a company which does timber constructions all over the world with a high level of technology, but also small scale projects, because this is also the way we find out how to do it.
Absolutely. And it is one of the most well-respected companies in the world, even from Australia, other side of the world. Everyone knows of Blumer Lehman and the strength of your brand. So what is Blumer Lehman looking to do in construction and change the way things have always been done?
Our DNA is the sawmill, and we we are driven by the fact of a deep value chain, as well as finding out what to do with this material, and working on the two edges of technology. One is the most prefabricated modular buildings we can do, because this is also a field timber has to go into. And on the other hand, the most extreme prototyping as the freeform constructions. And the freeform constructions, they are designed digitally and in a collaborative way. And then we try to find out how to bring this information on the CNC machines to make these projects happen.
And how has the development of timber, or how has timber developed over your career? So you mentioned now it's digital. Has it changed a lot since you started in the timber industry?
Definitely. When I started, and this was 25 years ago, we were very proud to do rooftops or farmhouses in rural surroundings. This was the market of timber. And I think about 2000 that it changed because of more ecological clients, but also new regulations like fire regulations in Switzerland, which made possible that we first entered the market of single housing and prefabricated elements, but then the projects have grown bigger and bigger and more exciting. But I think it was the regulation, and also maybe the material and the products which made this development possible. And it changed a lot, because today I think we are kind of sexy, and timber. Yeah, our clients. When I started, I always had to convince clients that timber is not burning, that it lasts more than 50 years, and I kept on saying that the oldest timber buildings in Switzerland are 1,200 years old. And the concrete bridges we did 60 years ago, we're definitely renovating it now.
So what type of mindset does it take to design timber that lasts for so long, like for a 1,200-year building? What type of things do designers need to be thinking about?
Timber is a very long-lasting material. So as long as it's not permanently wet, and as long as the details are constructed or are designed properly in terms of building physics and other topics, there is no maintenance, there is no problem, and it's just people have to think about another mindset. Yeah,
I agree. So you've been you are on top of technology. In what way are you using technology to improve the way you design, fabricate, and build?
Um, Actually, we are fascinated by low tech solutions as well as technology, because only the two the combined thinking leads to the solutions we are looking for, and we use very much technology in the free forms. In during the design phase, of course, with all these digital planning tools and collaboration tools and data exchange in between different partners, because it's not we have to work together with in-house and also with external partners to make this project happen. And this is now during Corona used for everybody, but it hasn't been the normal way of working the last couple of years. And then I think the crucial thing is that bringing the data into production and fabrication processes, and the continuously flow, but also the secure of all these data along the whole process is something which we are very much interested in.
So is that using building information modeling and interfacing with engineering, parametric design, or anything like that?
Exactly. So building information modeling is one tool to collaborate in a planning process, and to do, for example, free forms means also a very collaborative process in between engineers, architects, tech, other planners, to to not to draw a model, but to script a model with and the model consists of all the data you need along the process, and this is the planning phase, but also the execution phase.
Mm. And is robotics at all helping you with the execution as well? Or are you using that? I understand you're using the craftsman and a lot of hand, but also CNC and robotics?
Exactly. But CNC and robotics, um, they are very much overestimated.
Ah, okay.
So in my opinion, they are tools, and just more modern tools than we used 20 years ago. And of course, you can use robots to maybe organize low sophisticated work better than to use our very appreciated craftsmen to do that. But
Yep.
but it's just, yeah, they are tools, they are methods, and not the hype of technology we are all discussing.
Mm,
But of course, they are becoming increasingly important because technology is increasing as well.
yep. And do you see, so, I had a meeting yesterday on a project about special connections with I guess, a craftsman mindset, no steel, all timber connections. Do you see a future where such interesting connections, like you see with Shigeru Ban, uh, is part of the future also?
Definitely. So CNC is not only used in forms and shapes. It will be also used in connections in a very intelligent form, and also in free forms, because with algorithm or with these digital planning tools, you can do it very intelligently.
Mm.
And these are beautiful buildings and very intelligent buildings. It's like an origami construction after in the end.
I love that. Um, Can you tell us about some of your favorite projects that you've been working on in the past, or any case studies that you might think is inspirational for our listeners here?
I couldn't say my favorites because we did so many beautiful ones, also very small ones, which are unique in their kind. But of course, the golf clubhouse in Yochu we did 2010 was one of the milestones, because we entered this world of architecture with a new expression of timber. And along this journey, there were a few others, and 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 we just recently did a mosque in Cambridge, which is similar in its kind of Yochu, but the expression is also used for a deeper sense of architecture. That means that there are religious signs, as well as the timber is very, I don't know the word in English, so it's very kind, and people like it, and they like to communicate in this building. And that's also a beautiful one you should see once in your lifetime.
Absolutely. Well, I think I will definitely go there. And what are some of the learnings that you've had from some of these innovative and really interesting projects that give a building a soul? Yeah, what are some of your learnings you've had along the way?
Um, we didn't do it consciously, but I think we did some buildings which changed the view of architects or people how timber constructions could be. And and it's a combination of the haptic of the material, the sustainability of the material, but also the technology, the aspect of technology. And and it's just a reaction of the people of the people. They just like it because everybody knows wood. Everybody can talk about wood because they've got a table at home. They like to touch the material, and to show that in these kind of buildings will help, I guess, around the world, that the timber constructions will become the state of the art. The the poorer the regions are, like in emerging countries, the more they live in wooden houses. And so there is an image of a very cheap way of building. And this shouldn't be the case anymore. Timber construction should be more and more, yeah, what people like to have and what they need to have because of all these topics we face.
Mm. And so, what do you think are the main drivers in construction, or the main forces to make us change in construction uh, going forward into the future?
It starts with regulations and openness of all these involved people in construction industry, who has to learn that the way we did it before shouldn't be the way we do it now. That means not only um, um, oh, uh, what I always say is, building in timber is not more complicated than with other materials. It just leads to other processes. And prefabrication means that decisions are taken earlier along the processes. Engineering is a topic right at the beginning of a building, and people should collaborate a bit differently than they do if when they build in other sequences. And people have to learn that. People have to trust the material, because everybody has got these pictures in mind that timber burns, or the sound hear the sound of your neighbor. And this is not the case anymore. And they have to learn what timber can do and what timber is. And it's a long process. It took in Switzerland or in Europe, it took 20 years. And we didn't have these buildings we can see today at this time. But the Australians could come to Europe and see what's possible and just do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I have some friends who've been to Switzerland and seen some of the projects there, and they're blown away. One difference I've found from people in Europe and Switzerland is there's architects have a better appreciation for engineering, and engineers have a better appreciation for architects. So, do you think this is really important for timber projects to have a curiosity, not just in your own discipline?
Yeah, and an appreciation for each other, as you just told. And I think one of the factors which was important for us was that we educated timber engineers as a separate discipline. So we now have these young people who are really specialized in the material and went deeper into it, and that was crucial because these engineers they are now partners for architects, and they are the precondition to push the limits.
I'm an engineer myself, so I'm curious. What sort of things are you teaching your engineers there, so they can be experts for your projects?
Actually, I have to start a bit earlier. In Switzerland, doing an apprenticeship as a carpenter is a normal way. So we have this dual education system where only about 40 to 50% are doing a further school education, but most of the young people, they join an apprenticeship. And all our engineers, they have been a carpenter at the beginning, and then we forced an engineering or a university. It's a kind of university where these carpenters can educate themselves in engineering and all these building topics. And I think the combination of having the practical knowledge, but then adding this theoretical engineering know-how is the key factor.
Yeah, fantastic.
And it's of course all the discipline and engineers have to know, like details, processes, structural engineering, building physics, all these topics.
Amazing. I think in Australia we can maybe follow that model a bit, because that's very, very different to our processes as well, what we've got here. So appreciate hearing that. It's been a real privilege to get to speak to you and meet you, Katharina. If people want to find out more about you or your projects, or is there anywhere that the listeners should be going to your website perhaps?
Yeah, I warmly invite you. It's Lehman Group.ch.
Well,
thank you very much for the call, Adam.
Thank you for coming on the podcast. That was great.